Well, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. I was going to say, welcome to Woodturning Live. Now, today, basically, I've got a mystery piece of wood on the lathe, and I'm a little bit unsure of what I'm actually turning at the moment. I have actually taken this to the bandsaw, and as you can see, this was a jagged looking piece of timber, which has been sitting in my workshop since last year. Now, when I actually take the moisture meter to it, 9% in moisture, okay, 9% in moisture, which is absolutely nothing. It should be dry as a bone. Now, when I look at this grain pattern, basically, I've got these really pale tones and some of these streaks running down it, basically, which does tend to tell me this is more like a beech. And again, there's another type of hardwood, but again, it's bone dry. It's bone dry. Now, again, this is just a demonstration, basically, when I jump onto YouTube and show you and showcase some of my wood turning, basically here on YouTube. Now, it's not a huge piece. It's not a huge piece. So before I do begin this wood turning, I am going to measure the piece, just to get a good indication of what kind of diameter I'm working with. Now, I do have 1-inch screws running through this piece, and it's not massive, so just got to be mindful. Okay, it's 2¼ inches. Okay, so I've got a little bit of room to work with there, and in length we are talking 8½ inches, so which is 22 centimeters. 22 centimeters. So again, it's going to say it's giving me a little bit to play with. Like I said, I have taken it to the bandsaw. I have taken some of these edges off it just to try and make things a little bit easier, basically. But again, it's a mystery piece of wood. I assume it's beech. I assume. Again, it's dry as a bone. But today, basically, I'm going to be using an array of tools. So anything from my 1/2-inch bowl gouge down to my 3/8 bowl gouge, and maybe some carbide. We'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on. But like I said, it's just a demonstration. I've been wood turning for over 2 years, and I've seen everything in bowls and platters and vases, etc., pens and key rings. And but yeah, today we're on the Current Herald, and today we're going to see kind of what we can turn this piece into. Whether or not it be a small little platter, decorative piece, I'm not sure, but we'll see how we get on. But first things first, safety first. So I'm just going to pop on my trusty face shield. I'm just going to give it a wipe down because there's some dust all over it. I don't fancy breathing any of that in, so again, we'll give it a good clean before we begin. And I should have done this before jumping onto my live. So, but again, my mystery piece of wood here, like I said, has been in my workshop since last year. And the moisture content is below 10%, which is great. I can say with 21 people in the room already. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. My name's Dan. I'm a wood turner based in Wales. So again, we're going to try and turn this into a nice decorative piece. And say the grain pattern tends to give it away as beech. So we'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on. We're going to start off the lathe very, very slow. I'm going to build up speed. Hi, Michael. Welcome back, buddy. Sorry for my my absence. I'm going to say I was on yesterday, and I did turn a beautiful small bowl, basically made of ash. So, but today, basically, it's nice to see you back. And but yeah, I was going to say today's going to be quite an interesting piece to turn. And we'll see how we get on with it today. We'll see how we get on with it today. So, but yeah, I have been absent on YouTube for a little while. I was going to say, but I'm back on the mend. I am back on the mend. So we'll get that running at 95 RPM, revolutions per minute. Okay. So again, we're going to speed up. Okay. Okay. Pick my brains, and Michael, go for it. I was going to say, I'll try and help out as many people as I can. Anybody's got any questions, fire them into the comments, and I'll try and explain or try and help out as best as possible. But again, this is the slowest speed at the moment. It's 95. When they get this up, gradually up to speed. So if you do hear any dogs barking, because I've got three dogs, okay. What would I recommend? Well, I'm on the Current Herald, okay, which is a great lathe. It's a great lathe. I've got, when I talk about the capacity of this lathe, I've got 14 inches over the bed, okay, 14 inches. And if I rotate the headstock around, I can get 21 inches over the side, okay. For the price range it's sitting in, Current Herald's great. If you want to spend a bit more money, you can go up again. You can go up to Envoy, which again is again a bit more powerful, but again it's still got the ability to rotate the headstock, etc. It's got variable speed, so we can speed it up, slow it down, run it in reverse, run it forwards, etc. So, but today, like I said, I'm using an array of tools, bowl gouges, carbide possibly. We'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on. But I just want to be mindful of those screws. I'm going to say, because we've already checked the diameter, we've checked the length, so we'll crack on and we'll see how we get on. But yeah, anybody wants to support the channel, it is free. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if it's any kind of interest. But again, please don't copy what I'm doing. Okay, please don't copy what I'm doing. It's it can be dangerous for those who've never used a lathe before. If you want to get into wood turning, speak to a local wood turner from your local area, and they can point you in the direction of tool placement, technique, talk about the lathe in some kind of detail, etc. But again, we're going to get turning. And say, always stand away from the lathe. Never start sort of standing in front of it, because you want to see how that wood behaves. Okay, because if there's any chance of it coming off, it's spinning this way towards me. Okay, if you stand in front of it and it's going to come loose, you're in the firing line. Okay, so always stand away. Make sure give it enough revolutions basically, and just gradually build up speed. Never ever run a lathe at full whack when you start off, because you've got to understand how that wood's going to behave. Every 2 pieces of timber will behave differently. Okay, from oak to ash to elm to beech to various other types of timber, they all behave differently. So again, I'm going to speed up gradually. Okay. We're 600 RPM there, okay, 600 RPM, and we're just going to take our time, okay. Now we can work around to the tool rest, okay. And again, using my bowl gouge, I'm just going to slowly just add. I'm not digging into it, okay. I'm just taking my time, okay. Let the lathe spin the timber, let the tool cut the wood, okay. You don't want to be messing around, okay. Now I don't tend to jump on this late when I'm actually doing my demonstrations. I thought I'd just try and give a bit of variety basically when actually doing my turning, etc. Just in case some people miss the demonstration. But again, my first aim, as you can see, is starting to take the bark away. Okay, starting to take the bark away. We're just basically going to clear this face up. Okay, and come around these edges. Okay, because at the moment they're flat. Okay, they are flat. Now I did turn a bowl very recently, and again, it's made of ash, one of my favourite types of timber. As you see, it's got a beehive effect to it. So we've got this bevel, this beading, okay, so which we can incorporate into many other bowls, etc. But ash is a definitely giveaway, because ash you can tell from this swirly kind of decorative grain. So it's very interesting to work with. It's very dense, it's very hard, okay, and it does take regular sharpening all the time when you're using ash, okay? Any kind of hardwoods, regular sharpening, always, okay? Always. So I'll pop that down. So again, let's clean this face up. We'll come round, create some shape, some form. We'll put a tenon on, we'll flip it round, and we'll try and hollow it out, okay? And we'll turn it into something more practical and decorative, maybe. So, 76 people in the room. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. You can say, but yeah, my name's Dan. I've been wood turning over 2 years. And yeah, I enjoy the process of turning something which could be firewood into something a bit more useful. But again, let's get back up to speed. Ensure everything's locked and loaded. Right, during my demonstrations, what I tend to do is stop and start, stop and start. And one reason for that basically is just to keep an eye on the wood, okay? Keep an eye on the timber you're working on, okay? Because you could keep going and going and going and going all day long, okay? And if you do that, basically, you're at the risk of possibly ignoring a fracture, hairline fracture that could be in the wood. It's happened to me before, where I've turned a piece of timber before, and it wasn't evident really from the outside, okay? It wasn't evident to me. And yeah, you just want to take a good look at it, inspect your timber all the time, okay? Not all the time, but quite often, just so you don't ignore anything which could be potentially dangerous. Because if there is a hairline fracture, literally could be internal, could be on the surface, they need to stop, okay? Because anything with fractures and cracks, etc. in it, you're not going to create sawdust, okay? You're going to end up with big chunks of wood coming off. And again, it could be potentially dangerous. So, but yeah, it's nice to be back on the lathe. It's nice to be back on the lathe. With this time of year, as I said, there's plenty of bugs and illnesses going around, and unfortunately I caught two of them, one after the other. So, but it's nice to be back. It is nice to be back. So, like I said, I've cleaned this face up now. Okay, you can see from I've got an even cut all the way across. Okay, hi Anthony, welcome to my live, buddy. Yeah, I've got this nice kind of clean cut straight the way through. If you're turning and it's only cutting on one side than the other, and as you're turning, obviously it's turning, and you're cutting on one area and you realize it's not cutting on another side, okay, it means the log is more pronounced on one area than the other. And once you get it actually down to the same kind of proportion, then it should start cutting in exactly the same path, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, we're going to crack on. So again, just being very mindful of the piece. Now, as you can see, the edges aren't so much flat anymore. Okay, we're creating this flow. Okay, this general kind of, yeah, how can I explain it? This bevel. Okay, this curve. So again, on the other side, I've got a little bit of a flat edge there, which will take off in 2 seconds. Like I said, at the moment it's oval. Okay, it is oval. It's not particularly round at the moment. But once we've actually taken it from oval, we'll take these sides off. We could leave this on as decorative, but I'd rather not. One reason for that, I've explained it in my lives before, you could leave bark on as a decorative feature. And sometimes when the piece is being put away, put in a window, for instance, the sunlight gets to it, it becomes brittle, and next thing this will start flaking off and breaking off. You could seal it with CA glue, contact adhesive, yeah, and support it. But again, I prefer to just let the wood speak for itself. Okay, so again, we're going to just tackle this now. We're going to take that flat edge away, which is just here. Okay, nice and easy to sort, and then we'll start coming around the sides, which will take it from oval to round. Okay, and then basically from round, then we start having a bit more creativity and see how we get on. We'll see how we get on. But again, there's a couple of cuts we make. Okay, come towards us, which is a pull cut. Okay, bring towards us, and then there's also ones where we can push away. Okay, or push away. Push cut. So we got push and pull. Okay, pull cut is often normally known as a shear cut. Okay, so but again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool rest and the banjo, I'm going to slide this out of the way, and I'm going to come onto it on a more of a 45-degree angle. Okay, so I've got full width of that tool rest. Okay, so if I'm going to come around with a push cut, I don't want to run off the tool rest. Okay, I want a full width of that tool rest. So again, bringing it back into perspective, and again, we're only at 600 RPM. We can get over 1,000. If I change the torque ratio, we get over 3,000. So this thing can actually build up quite a significant amount of speed. So just be mindful of safety and make sure that I'm protected at all times. So, but again, we're going to crack on. And so we are going to crack on. We're at 600. And speed up again. Okay, we are going to speed up again. 700. Okay, 700 RPM. So I'm being very, very gentle at the moment, very gentle. Now my object to jump onto YouTube is not to give a tutorial, okay? It's just a demonstration, okay? Now, as you can see, we're actually round, okay? We're going round. So once we've got our round shape, then I can start focusing on its curve, okay? Curves. So, and as you can see from a bowl. Ooh. Hey, look, Michael. Still here. The bowl has a natural curve, okay? Got its natural shape to it. So again, then that's what we're looking for. I have made bowls in the past where I initially started woodturning, but they have no definition, they have no character to them, and they're just flat, okay? There's no curve, okay? And this is basically what lots of practice does. But again, as you can see, it doesn't sweep in like a normal bowl. Normal bowls should sweep in from center out, okay? Center out. There's no flat edge, okay? So when you look at this one, for instance, okay, this one does have a flat edge, okay? That's what most woodturners will classify as a dog bowl, okay? Because basically they're flat and they run over and they've got a flat edge and they come out, okay? Same with the base, okay? Flat, 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 okay? That makes sense. So again, the big bowl of ash I just showed you now is what we're trying to achieve here now, which is created that flow, that nice shape to it, okay? If you are interested in supporting the channel, just remember it is free, and any support, likes, comments, subscribers, all that kind of thing does help the channel out massively. When I initially set the channel up, just end of last year, I raised over 3,000 subscribers in such a very short space of time. So, so if anybody would like to see how things are made, using a lathe, etc., like I said, it's there for the picking. So yeah, I don't just make bowls, I make pens, platters, vases, decorative stuff. Quick look. So many things I'm working on a lathe, never just hope for the best, ever, okay? Never ever just hope for the best, because they're the famous last words as a woodturner, okay? And basically when you try and rush and you try and speed things up by not being observant, basically, that's when things, you can make mistakes, you can get hurt. Okay, so yes, I've been hurt on a lathe before by becoming complacent, okay, by not paying attention. So, but again, still got this little area here, quite like that actually. But again, we'll see how we get on. I don't want to touch the back too much, okay, because in this section here, there's a faceplate, and it's literally supported by the chuck, and there's 4 screws, okay, 4 screws running directly into it, and I don't want to hit them, okay, I don't want to hit them from this side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap over from this 1/2 inch bowl gouge, okay, because at the moment this is quite an aggressive bowl gouge. So what I'd like to do is swap over to a smaller profile, okay, and the smaller profile I'm going to use is a 3/8 bowl gouge, okay, so it's same kind of flute, same kind of grind, not so aggressive, okay, it's not so aggressive because I don't want to keep removing lots and lots of timber. I just want to tidy this area up here, I was going to say, and I could possibly leave some of this on. Like I said, it's very, very dry, and again, I don't think there's any means of this coming off. So I've got a couple of tool marks there which we can tidy up with a 3/8 bowl gouge. If I can find it. Yes, I can. So again, if you look at the 1/2 inch bowl gouge, it's quite beefy, okay, it's quite an aggressive piece of steel. 3/8 flute, okay, very shallow, okay, and again, it's more for finishing cuts, for tidying up, etc. Same kind of bevel, okay, same kind of bevel. And again, we're just going to tidy the piece up, okay, remove these tool marks, and you can see the rings in here. I was going to say, this is what this one's for. So we'll remove these very nicely, not being aggressive, okay, just making some passing cuts, and hopefully we may even leave some of this on, okay, because I quite like it. It's quite distinctive. So we'll see how we get on. Again, firstly, let's clean these lines up, and hopefully we'll get a tenon on here. I am actually going to remove this area here, okay, because this area here is where I want to place a tenon, okay. So once I've placed the tenon, we can flip it round, we can hollow it out, okay. So but I hope you're all enjoying the live. We've got 8 likes already. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But again, I'm going to come in now, a couple of push cuts, come away from me, and again, being mindful of those screws, okay. Take the 1/2 inch out of the way. Right, come round. Now the reason why I get this tool rest as close as possible, okay, close as possible, because the last thing I want to do is have any kind of gap, okay, any kind of gap between the piece and the tool, okay. And one reason for that is if you get a catch and there's room in there for that bowl gouge to get in there, it's going to basically take you and it's going to pull you, okay, and that will hurt. You will hurt yourself, okay. So again, just ensuring there's no gaps, okay, because again, safety is paramount, absolutely vital when wood turning. And say that I'm not toys, and again, I've said it millions of times, safety is the most important thing when wood turning. You can be the best wood turner in the world, but if you're not taking care of your safety, said you can significantly get hurt. So, but enough of that. Let's get turning. Okay, we're going to speed up again. 800 revs. Okay, 800 RPM. Okay, couple of push cuts. Not being too aggressive at all. Okay, that's what a tenon will look like, okay? Tenon will look like that. We're just going to remove that area because there is bark there, okay? Again, just come in, couple of push cuts. Very light passes. Just being very, very gentle, okay? Very, very gentle. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to swap open that bowl gouge, okay? You see from this one, okay, this has got a totally different profile on it, okay? Very, very shiny, very sharp. A bowl scraper, okay, so it's good at removing tool marks, okay? Removing tool marks. And there we are. Okay, let's have a quick shufty. Let's have a quick look. If I remove that piece of bark away from the centre, which I have, okay, so because this is where the tenon's coming in, okay, this area on here, okay, so I think it's quite decorative, okay, it's quite decorative. So again, put that tenon on, and again, we'll see how we go. It's going to be quite a shallow piece. I was going to say, so when it comes down to hollowing, I don't want to go too aggressive when hollowing, okay, because otherwise I'll just go straight through, and that'll be totally pointless. Totally pointless. A piece of look no. So again, gonna get a square piece of carbide out. And carbide is just as sharp as a bowl gouge, okay? And many woodturners out there will begin using carbide, okay? And so you can buy cheap carbide, but again, sometimes when you buy cheap tools, you end up buying twice. So, but again, we've all learned that lesson. So again, I want to come in. Again, the dovetail jaws on my chuck, I want to match the tenon to the dovetail, okay? So again, I could use the bowl gouge to create a tenon, but again, each to their own. No one way to skin a cat. Okay, we have our tenon. Okay, we have our tenon. Now be ballsy, put a foot in there. And there's the foot, okay? So a nice foot for it to sit on. And once I remove that tenon, once I remove this tenon, it'll have a base to sit on, okay? And what I'd like to do now is feather this edge, okay? Because as you can see, when I created that foot and created this tenon, again, it's left me with this lip here, and I've got a bit of bark on there, which will come off anyway when I remove the tenon. I've left with this flat lip, okay, this flat area, this flat edge. And what I like to do, like before, when I said about the nice flowing curves, okay, is to bring that flat edge back into the flow of the bowl, okay, so it's more aesthetically pleasing, as they say. But again, I haven't finished with this tenon yet, so I'll come back to that very shortly. Not being aggressive whatsoever, okay? So now I finish with the bowl gouge for a very short space of time. And what I'd like to do, bring this tool, okay, to skew, okay, to skew another type of profile. And what I'm going to do, where that tenon sits, okay, because the jaws have a dovetail fitting, okay? And what I'd like to do, so the tenon's got a nice comfortable fit, sort of dovetail to match the jaws, okay? And when I put the dovetail in there, it'll grip the tenon quite comfortably, okay? Because if you've got a tenon and basically it's not the same diameter all the way around, you've got the risk of it coming off, okay? And that is imperative that you make sure it doesn't. Because if it comes off, it's going to go flying, okay? So again, let's put the dovetail on. 6 seconds. There we are. It's that simple, that quick, okay? So again, not too bothered about this area with the bark here because that'll be taken off when I take the tenon off, okay? So again, I'm going to leave this on for a bit of a featured piece. And say it is very, very dry. And again, I'm pretty sure this is beech. I'm pretty sure of it. So just be taking a good look at it, just to be mindful that there's nothing going to break off when I come to hollow, okay? So again, I'm going to take the chuck key, this one, lock headstock. And by the way, it's lovely to be back. It's lovely to be back. I'm going to say, again, it started off as a very rough looking piece of timber, okay? So all I did was circle it out, okay? Take the corners off, which will minimize a lot of the work, okay? So it started very much like this. I did go onto the bandsaw and yeah, round it off as best as possible on the bandsaw. That's the best way to start. So again, take that out of there. Always good practice. Never leave that key in that chuck, just in case. And as you can see, the 4 screws, and they're running directly into the piece. Okay, so again, it's quite a nice finish. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I'll take a nice good sanding once I'm finished, and then we'll apply a finish actually to the piece when we're done. So again, we'll take our tenon into the jaws, the dovetail jaws, and we're just going to close them up a little bit and ensure that it's butted up, not to the back of the jaws, okay? We don't want it going in, okay? We just want it to sit comfortably so it grips it, okay? We don't over grip it, okay? Because we could rip the fibres in the wood. If we rip the fibres in the wood, it'll break the tenon off. And again, it'll go flying. So always be mindful. All right, okay, let's give it that nice tighten, not over tighten. So again, I'm going to take these screws out, okay? Take these screws out. And the way I like to do that is, otherwise I'll be there all day. So again, locking it, make sure it doesn't turn. Okay, they're about 1 inch, okay? So, hence why being mindful. Always be mindful. Now, the face of it should be clean. It should be clean apart from this area here, okay? Which I'm going to basically take down using the 3/8. I'm not going to use the 1/2 inch on this. It'll be far too aggressive. 1/2 inch is great for roughing out. I was going to say it's a great tool for roughing out. We'll clean this face up, then we'll start hollowing, okay? Then we'll start hollowing. Again, we come round. If you are enjoying the live, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It does help. And it does mean an awful lot to me. So again, give it a nice spin. Make sure it's sitting balanced. Seems okay. If it's not balanced, what you'll see, it'll fluctuate, okay? It'll bounce, okay? If it is doing that, stop, and reposition. Now, before I think about hollowing it, I'm going to basically resharpen this bowl gouge, okay? Which will take me a couple of, about 10 seconds. 15 at the max. 15 at the max. So, but yeah, as you can say, it's one of these things with wood turning. You've got to start somewhere. Okay. sharp. Okay, we are sharp. So never, ever, ever use blunt tools, ever. It's like very, very dangerous. Why is it dangerous? Because it's not going to cut. Okay, it's not going to cut. It'll bounce. Okay, it'll bounce on the timber. It'll be incredibly dangerous. But again, we're staying at 800 revs, which is quite comfortable for me. And again, I'm just going to make a few passes until we remove this gammy looking area here. Okay, it's just very rough. Okay, it's very rough, very dry, very brittle. Again, we'll tidy it up. I'm not going to take many passes to actually remove that gammy area. Okay, 14 likes, thank you very, very much. Okay, we're on it. Okay, we're coming past it now. Not going to take much at all. It's a very shallow looking bowl, but it's it'll be quite decorative, quite pretty, you know. Not everything I make is huge. Sometimes I make some smaller stuff, gearings, that kind of stuff. And but yeah, every piece of wood is always going to behave different from the last. I've always said that. So. Let's stop one there for 1 second. Let's take a quick look. Okay, we still didn't move all that gammy area. Okay, it's still there. Not much. Okay, so we're going to take that down. Okay, we're going to take that down by the rim. Okay, we've got some lovely clean cuts there. It's lovely and smooth. The cleaner the cuts that you make, the less sanding. Okay, I don't have much room to be messing around with depth, so I want to be extremely careful that I don't ruin the piece and come all the way through. Okay. All right, so let's sort this rim out. Stop again, because I don't want to just keep removing timber. Okay, I just want to make sure it's gone. Ooh, maybe one more 2 passes, and then again I want to bring this rim down a little bit. It's quite, I won't say chunky, but it's Again, I could bring that down maybe 2 or 3 mil. Again, and what I'm looking for is that, like I said before, that bowl with the sweep, okay? There's no flat edges, okay? Say, because I don't want a dog bowl. Again, it's just feeling for any imperfections, okay? Any lumps, bumps, areas that maybe need attention. It's absolutely fine, apart from this area here. And again, let's bring that rim down a little, just a tad, okay? Again, do I want to be messing with depth? Only if I want to be ballsy. So let's crack on. Still running at 800 revs per minute. What I like to do, just be decorative, okay? Just be decorative. It's a diamond shape, piece of carbide, okay? What I'm going to do, a couple little beads in the rim, okay? Just in the rim. Like so, okay? Like so. 3's enough, I think. Tidy those up a little bit more, really. In fact, I'm going to remove them and replace them. I think they're too close together. In fact, what I'm going to just tend to do, just as a precautionary measure, this is 80 grit, okay? So it looks untidy. So I'm just going to do very quickly to give me a good indication if it's actually going to work or not. That's one way to find out if your rim is lumpy and bumpy. Just place one finger, okay? Don't grab it, okay? Just place one finger and you'll feel it as it's turning, if there's any lumps and bumps in there, okay? Okay, not too bad. Still a little bit sketchy in areas. Raised area here, okay? You can feel it as my fingers pass over it here, which I want to remove, because it's nice to feel a piece of timber, and it's nice to feel a piece that's finished by hand. And the last thing I want to do is feel these, like I said, imperfections, these raised areas, okay? Doesn't feel great. So at the moment it's turning into more like a saucer than a bowl. So just be very mindful. Just be very, very mindful. Okay. Well, we're going to do that. I'm going to grab the bowl gouge out, bring it back in. Lock. Again, just be very, very careful here. Just some very, very light push cuts. I may even remove this actually. I'm looking at some areas I could have gone a bit deeper, and some areas it's not very clear what's going on there. Plus I've got this bark up the top here, so I could remove that basically. I don't think it looks very pleasing. So again, maybe I'll take a bit more practice. Could have done with the parting tool, but this pretty much is a parting tool, but in carbide form. So again, tidy that up, bring this out, let's give it a clean up, sand it, and we'll apply finish to my liking. think I've just put a dimple in the middle of it instead. No, I haven't actually. I put a nib on it. So, Bradley's carbide. So I can follow that in, okay? Follow that curve. If you do it with a square, you end up with a square bottom, okay? Don't want to do that. I'll blend that edge back in, blend it back in, so it's more kind of like curved into the piece, okay? So when your fingers run off it, they should run in, round, in. It's not so flat, you know? So anyway, looking rather nice. It looked nice once I get a finish on that. So I did find my collet the other day, put it down, and I said, remember to keep an eye on where you put that down, because I have a tendency to put things down and then can I find them afterwards? Not a chance. But I am going to be having a massive source out, clear up, and a bit of a sort around, change around, that kind of thing in the workshop in the next few weeks. So hopefully it'll give me a bit more space, a bit more area to work in. And but yeah, I've got a few more tools, a few new tools in this workshop at the moment. As you can see, I've got the Bosch pillar drill. It's good for doing pen blanks. So, and I've also got new bandsaw. So my bench top baby bandsaw was power junk, couldn't cut off with it. So yeah, it's a nice upgrade. So enough of the waffle. All right, let's go on with some tidying up. Like I said, 3 grits, 80, 120, 240. Let's clean this up. Fancy? The 120 should make it smooth, okay? Very, very smooth. I want to hit it with the 240 grit, it'll make it actually baby smooth, okay? 240. Now before I think about applying a finish to this piece, again, have a nice feel of it. It's beautifully soft and smooth now. That's definitely beach. Right, let me just excuse that away for 1 second, ladies and gents. Let me just bring that air compressor towards me. And the reason I'm grabbing the air compressor is because tidy up. There's no way I'm placing a finish on this piece with dust. There's a previous experience where I've gone to apply a finish and it feels a bit grainy because there's dust on there. So now there's no more dust. So my next course of action basically is to take some alcohol, okay? Not the alcohol you can think of, but I'm going to apply a coat of isopropyl, and what I do, raises the grain, okay? It'll raise the grain, and it'll give me a good indication of what it's going to look like when I actually apply a finish. Still need to get a rag, and I still need to get myself a smaller bottle to put this into. So, but it's all happening in due course. So, beautifully, lovely and smooth. Could power sand it, you know, that would have been easier. But I will once I find my colette. The beach has got this really big giveaway, see? It's wavy patterns, but again, I thought it would have been ash to begin with, but at the moment I'm pleasantly surprised how this has turned out. Ash tends to be more pinky, more white. Beach tends to be more brown. And I'll give it a second because it won't take more than a few minutes for this to actually dry off. Once it dries off, then we can either think about applying some beeswax or actually some tongue oil, something like that. I knew it wouldn't take long for one of the dogs to start barking and say, but give that a nice even coat. Because the moisture content of this piece is around about 11%, I think it was, or just under 11%. It is bone dry, and when I apply finish, it's always good to be quite liberal with it. So try to apply a nice coat of it because it's going to soak it in. It is definitely going to soak it in, and then when it comes down to the second coat again in 24 hours or 36 hours, then again be liberal again. And after say 3 coats, it goes away to cure. Once it's cured, again, it's ready to go out. So again, I tend to use food safe finishes, walnut oil, pure tongue oil, anything like that. It's great. It could be used for anything to do with keys. It could do with crisps, peanuts. I won't say popcorn's not deep enough. But I did use a finish from Hampshire Sheen. This stuff. Burnishing oil. I'd never use this stuff ever again, okay? Only because it stinks like terps, like some of these, like the decorators have come in, and my whole workshop smell awful for days, okay? So I don't use it anymore. But for the price of one bottle of pure tongue oil, well, for one of these, I get 2 of these. Walnut oil, pure tongue oil. This smells divine. This smells amazing. It smells good enough to eat. It's food safe, but again, comes at a cost. Food safe, a bit cheaper. And I quite like the finish. The finish is very nice. It gives like a golden look to it. So, yeah, in fact, I'm not going to use that massive rag. It's more rag. So again, just going to come in now. Nice, literally rag. Again, be quite liberal. There we are. Again, what I want to do is give it a nice coat. I get beautiful shine when using tongue oil. Absolutely stunning. Don't know if that's actually quite evident from the light in here. It's not great. It's not great. I actually have a delivery of new timber arriving on Monday, which I'm really looking forward to, because I did turn a piece of kiln dried ash. Again, great, but again, it becomes very, very brittle. Very, very brittle. Again, I'm not turning the lathe on because of the size of this rack. Okay, I don't want anything getting caught. Okay, again, taking my time. I think once the piece is finished, it's always good to take a good coat on it, put a very nice coat on it, I can say, and then just let it cure between each coat. Let it cure. Rushing it, basically, you're just going to spoil the piece. So again, just being quite generous with it. So, but again, thanks. We've still got 15 of you in the room. Thank you so much to everyone who stuck by me in this live. I apologise for my absence, because I have been off the lathe for quite a while. I won't say quite a while, but it's been off it longer than I wanted to. So, illnesses, eh? Illnesses. So, there we are. Okay. But again, if you want to go out there and you want to have a go at wood turning, and you want to have a shufty around, basically, speak to an experienced wood turner. I mean, they can point you in the right direction. They can give you a good indication about lots and lots of different things. So, one lesson, I think. One lesson. And the rest of it, I just came away and practiced. And that's sometimes the best way. Is just to practice a lot. And even me, over 2 years on from the wood turner, I still make mistakes. But it's just, as Richard Raffin would say, you know, even the most experienced wood turners still make mistakes. So, I'll believe that one. I'll believe that. So, let's take one look at it. It is more like a saucer, isn't it? It is more like a saucer. This light is not doing it justice. It's definitely not doing it justice, but if you turn that light off and see what happens, probably go dark. Probably go dark. See, it's got these very ashy lines, but I'm sure it's a beech. Pretty sure. But again, I've left this piece of bark on to be a bit distinctive. I will remove the tenon. It will sit. Again, it's more like a decorative key bowl. How did I start woodworking and turning? Basically started during lockdown, and during lockdown, our COVID days, where we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't see anyone, we had this 2 meter, get out my way kind of thing, and yeah, and all I did was basically sit there and I was just watching YouTube, and I actually firstly came across a bit of wood turning when I was on holiday, pre-COVID days, and I sat back and I thought, that's pretty cool. That looks pretty interesting. Didn't pay too much attention to it because obviously I was on holiday, and it wasn't so it came back, COVID came in, this, that and the other, sat back and started watching woodturners, and I got really intrigued and interested in their skill and the type of things they could turn, the stuff they could achieve, and I thought, I want to know how to do this. I want to have a go at this. So yeah, I waited for lockdown to be over, and I found a local woodturning in my local area, and I had one lesson with a professional. Started off on a mini lathe, and as you can see it in my corner here. See this little red one in the background? This is what I started on. This little mini lathe, okay? Mini lathe, small lathe. Now I work on the Current Herald, which is this big beast, which is a MIDI lathe, okay? You can go much bigger than that. So, and from there, basically, I just started practicing. So I went from trying to turn things like platters, I started trying to turn bowls, trying to turn anything which I possibly could by taking scrap wood, green wood, driftwood, anything I could find, and I put it on the lathe, and I practice. And eventually I kind of like, yeah, I just picked it up bit by bit. Now it's not something you can just jump onto a lathe and you can think, I could do that, because there is a technique to it, there is tool placement to consider, there is PPE to consider. Yeah, and it's one of those things with anything. It's like riding a bike. You got to fall off a few times as you learn. Bit like anything with woodturning as well. Got to jump off, fall off, jump back on. Eventually you start and you get it right. And that's how I got into woodturning. And yeah, and I'm still learning. There is an awful lot to learn. And like I said, 2.5 years in, and I'm still making mistakes. So, but each to their own. Anybody who tells me they've been woodturning for over 2 years and they don't make mistakes, I bet they do, because we all do. And there's no shame in admitting your mistakes. It's just how you learn from them, if that makes sense. So thank you to everybody who joined me today on my live. Really much appreciated. So thank you for all the likes. It does mean an awful lot to me. It's very heartfelt, and I will be back before you know it. I'll try and produce something different, other than a little decorative bowl saucer. As you can see, we've got these. That's what we were looking for. Okay. And again from the centre. Again, this is what we were looking for. But anyway, thank you every single one of you. Hope you all have a blessed day, blessed evening, blessed morning, wherever you are in the world. And hopefully I shall see you all in the next one. But thanks for watching YouTube. See you in the next one. Take care. Look after yourselves. Happy turning.